you said, ow. And I said, what? And you said, you're a and I said, why? And you said, everybody knows the JBL Boombox 4 really means the Boombox 4T. I said, why? You said, well, the whole world's gone crazy talking about the Distortion Fest. Well, I didn't say it didn't distort. I just said it wasn't a deal breaker for me. But you keep on and on and on, and I thought maybe there's something to this. And the latest addition to the family of it's a Boombox Distortion Fest is Mr. Simply Ficassom. Very catchy name. And he said, we'll do a test in your BBX4. I don't know why we got the X, but maybe because it's soon to be the X Boombox 4. Playing this song. What song is he talking about? Oh, he's talking about MIME and the LJ Push the Gas. By the way, MIME, I don't know what it stands for. Apparently, he's also known as the Only Mime. Oh, so it's a mime, but he's put a full stop between each letter. He's a hip-hop artist, and LJ, real name, Suraj Lakahasingh. Look, I don't know how to pronounce these for reasons. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce my name. Jagay. Hopefully no relation to Jay-Z Yagi, the well-known. I know that he has lied about me, but I'll leave it there. Anyway, he's a hip-hop and hardcore rap artist, and he's based in Ottawa, Canada. I know you don't... Ottawa. I know that. Canada. Where it appears like he's friends with... no, don't get into politics, Al. All right. Anyway, play that song in 75% of volume with deep bass on. So, are you getting a theme? Everybody was saying, well, we found a particular... We've gone through 46 million tracks, and here's one where it would distort. But by the way, you've got to play it at over 70%, and you've got to play it in deep bass mode. Are you getting it? It's about pushing it hard and hard and harder. She said it many times, and it seems quite appropriate because the song is called Push the Gas. Anyway, he says, here in Brazil, people are saying our model is having intermodulation distortion on the... I go to bed now. It's intermodulation now, intermodulation. 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 It's absolutely... Anyway, it's just become... Every day I wake up... I've heard about the intermodulation. Here in Brazil, people are saying our model is having intermodulation distortion on the mids. Obviously. Because the other thing is, every morning I wake up and say, do you think the distortion is because it's a two-way and three-way? You can have a single driver. And, but in my opinion, many good speakers with a single driver. It's just that they're not pushed too hard and they're very good, they are good electronics. They are good parts and they work. Just because you have two drivers instead of three does not mean you automatically get more distortion. But intermodulation. Intermodulation now, intermodulation. Intermodulation now, intermodulation. Intermodulation now, intermodulation. Two frequencies adding up to give you a third frequency that didn't exist, and so it normally sounds really bad because it's not just one frequency. You get all the harmonics. But a single driver can play all those frequencies. They can do it because the bass is a big excursion and the higher notes are very, very fast, small. It can do the whole thing at one time. I'm not saying it's the easiest way to do it, and that's not the only reason why you don't split out the drivers. But it's always because it's simplified into 2D. Sound is 3D. It doesn't actually play every frequency in one moment of time. It doesn't work like that. It's actually it's a 3D image that gets to your brain. You can do it, but you can't push the speakers. That's you can't push them beyond its limits, and the limits obviously down to the quality of components. That's, in my opinion, that is what it's all about, Alfie. The voice sounds shaky. So, sounds shaky, you don't know, because you're not as old as me. Actually, a lot of you are, and some of you are even older. Yes, people older than me. When you say shaky, I automatically think of Shakin' Stevens. If you want it, you got it, you get it from me. One of the greatest rock and roll artists of all time. I kid you not. Does he still hold the record? Whoa. hold the record for the number of appearances on Top of the Pops. So Shakin' Stevens, the British Elvis, as they say, but they also said that about Cliff Richard. And he's a lot better than Cliff Richard, especially now. The voice sounds shaky due to the vibration of the sub bass. So that's what we talked about in the last video about the distortion. I'm calling it a gurgling sound. And I've heard that lots of times in the past. Yes, it's normally an issue with the driver when I've had that. And I remember going back years in my car stereo. I remember vividly having my car stereo fitted and getting home and all I could hear was a gurgling sound. Went back and complained they fitted new drivers, exactly the same model, and it didn't. So it was a problem with the components at that point. But gurgling is often associated with overdrive. But I just think, well, I'm not a DIY. I shouldn't get into the specifics like that. The voice, it may be just the model you said, because I've been saying it looks like the TL model seems to be doing a bit better than the PL models. It does seem that way. I'm not saying that TL does not distort. Could you test it? It happens from 20 seconds to 35 seconds right in the beginning of the music. And I've been told I've got a big following in Brazil. It's nice enough. I've got a big following somewhere. So yeah, I'm going to do that now as we continue the saga of, does every speaker distort? Is it just a distortion fest? Blah blah. Because I've been saying, to me, it's quite usable. Just note a theme that's running here when you're pointing these out. It seems to be deep bass, very very loud, and it goes very very loud. I'm going to play it now. I'm going to play it against the original. Have a listen for what I call the gurgling sound, what he calls the shaky sound. Go.
But we got sticks for real. We looking out for the opposition. We don't do this for mass appeal. Don't make me blast it still. I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that shit to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your lace. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees. I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young vet. Wiz, he was a part of the gang. No, now he getting paid every single day. Yeah, I was hustling. I could turn an 8 to a 28. Let me show you. 12, they can kiss my hair. Yeah, see them lights, but you know I got the strap. Go right up, now he getting paid every single day. Yeah, I was hustling, I could turn an 8 to a 28. Let me show you. 12, they can kiss my hair. Yeah, see them lights, but you know I got the strap. Go right, I push the. I do the dash, on my way to the bag, boy, you know I push the gas.
Okay, my timing is critical. They know my rhyming is pivotal. Homie, the dash is digital, gas residual. Fire and smoke like I'm leading a ritual. You bet my cash is long. I hit the gas, I'm gone. Riding my wave. I've been stuck in my zone. I bet I blast them all. Sliding on faith. I've been out finding my ways. Grinding for days. I've been out shining the hate. All of y'all wanted for praise. Stuck in a phase. Let it turn it a blaze. Yeah, homie, you don't want to race. Nah, better to stick to your place. Yeah, want it all, I gotta taste. You push on the pedal, now I gotta skate. Yeah, all I ever know. Put me on this throne. Pinnacle. Push my buttons and that motherfucker go. What you know, what you own. Push it and I zone. Sonic booms full of room. Run it till the tomb with my goons. Smell the fumes. Y'all know what it do with the crew. When we coming through, y'all know better move. Make it fast. Ain't no second chance. Coming for your ass. Turn to ash. Burning rubber now. Better push the gas like.
I do the dash. On my way to the bag, boy, you know I push the gas.
You got me, all right? You got me. On this track is the worst I've heard my speaker. It's really, really bad. If I was playing that track all the time and I wanted to use it in deep bass mode at 75% volume, I wouldn't be happy and I wouldn't be paying 450 quid, $550. I'd be sending it back. As I said, secret here seems to be I've been playing it at more moderate volumes, because it's mostly indoors, and I'm using, because I'm going for a more balanced sound, albeit it's a boombox, I'm using it in default mode, not so much in the deep bass mode. As nice as it is to have that smash, smash, smash in your face, in your stomach, the big thump it can give you. It's a boombox. It should be able to do that. It's clearly pushed beyond limits, I think. But I still think there's an issue here with the processing, because when I delve into the tracks, and all these tracks that are distorting, there is a hint of some distortion. I'm not saying it's, you know, it's not quite 100% clean, and it seems to trip the processing up. Maybe that's my theory. I've got nothing to back it up and say I'm coming up to some scientific conclusion. Except this is the first track, maybe where even on clean sections of the track, it's doing that clearly. So yes, that's really, really bad. That's the worst I've heard it. It doesn't do it for me on every track, and I'm listening at lower volumes, which is probably a key, and I'm not listening in deep bass mode. People with the PL versions seem to get more of it, more of the time, and it seems to be even more of an issue. However, it does it. It does it. Is it AI sound boost? Is it the components? You're going to tell me it's because it's a three-way, not a two-way, but hey, doesn't necessarily follow. You can get very nice single driver speakers. So, it does distort. It's really bad. It's gurgling, shaky, intermodulation, whatever you want to call it, it's distorting. It's really, really ugly when it's as bad as that. That's a deal breaker if you're going to play tracks like that at those volumes in deep bass mode. So let's just play a small section where you're talking about the first 25, 35 seconds. In fact, for me, it's like even the first few seconds where doesn't sound that bassy. If you look at the track, there is a lot of bass there. It does seem to be the sub bass. I thought maybe 200 or 300 hertz was the issue, but I'm still not convinced it isn't. I just think if there's a processing issue, it's when you got the deep bass and around that like lower upper bass, let's call it. So I'm saying it seems to be when you're over 60, 65% where it becomes a real issue. It's already loud at that volumes. For me, I'm kind of playing it a little bit, just a bit below that. I'm not hearing it at these low volumes. That got my brain thinking. You keep saying deep bass, 75% and above sort of volumes. So I've recorded it 20, 40, 60, 80, 100% to see exactly what's going on. If it's limited to the louder volumes. I'm going to play the, obviously I'm normalizing them to as much as you can, because obviously it's not more bass heavy at low volumes. And then it gets quite shrieky, and you'll hear that as well at the loud volumes. So let's hear what it's doing at each volume of the small clip.
Still, I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year, you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know is ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your legs. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees, I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young Betty Wiz. You was a part of the gang. No, now we still. I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year, you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know is ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your legs. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees, I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young Betty Wiz. You was a part of the gang. No, now we lasting still. I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year, you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know is ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your legs. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees, I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young Betty Wiz. You was a part of the gang. No, now we lasting still. I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year, you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know is ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your legs. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees, I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young Betty Wiz. You was a part of the gang. No, now we lasting still. I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year, you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know is ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your legs. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees, I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young Betty Wiz. You was a part of the gang. No, now we blasting still. I put in work, no Vladimir. They want me to lose, but I can't. Mama shed like 1,000 tears. I can't do that to waste. I pull up in Mercedes. Next year, you gon' see me pull up in the race. All I know is ball hard. Mama told me, boy, make sure you tie up your legs. Hey, when I was down bad, boy, I got on my knees, I started to pray. Now I'm breaking bread with my young Betty Wiz. You was a part of the gang. No, now
60% and above is where I hear it. So it's still playing clean with a boosted bass at lower volumes. It seems almost a hard limit, 60% and over. And the louder you go, in line with that loudness, you're getting the gurgling, crackling, intermodulation, shaky, whatever you want to call it. It's horrendous. It's horrible. That's on that track so far. It's the worst I've heard mine. If I'd heard that right at the beginning, I probably would have had maybe a different conclusion. But it's still usable to me. When you're focusing in, obviously half the world is looking at what tracks are bringing out distortion, but it's there. It's doing it. AI Sound Bollocks is not getting rid of distortion. Let's put that marquee thing to bed. It is distortion. It is distorting, and when it's doing it, it's a distortion fest, and it's really, really bad. Within those clips, you can still hear not only the is doing that distortion. There's a bit of pumping going on as well. That's why, to me, I still am thinking, is it a processing issue? Obviously, if you're pushing the components too far, you're going to get that sort of thing. But it just seems that we're getting this sort of nature to all the AI, all the latest AI Sound Bollocks speakers. And yeah, so I don't know. It just seems to me, mostly when I hear that sound, and then you listen very closely to the track, there is a hint of distortion or something. It's just not clean, especially on the vocals, and it seems to trip it up. But it's only my theory. I really don't know, and obviously, I've been wrong to now because you keep telling me it's a distortion fest, and it's been quite usable. But if that was the only track I was playing, if that was the first track I was playing just like that, it probably would have gone straight back. It's going to narrow in a bit on a particular part where it's horrible, gurgling, easier to hear exactly what's going on. So we don't know why it's called the JBL Boombox 4. It's the JBL Boombox 4 hearing intermodulation, to learning all about intermodulation. So, it's been usable to me. I can't say it's just when it's bad, it's horrendous. And it does do it. And if you're using it as a boombox like that, and clearly a lot of you are, most of you probably are, it's tripping it up. Doesn't seem to be as bad as the PL version, because it's only now I could say it's absolutely a deal breaker. That was the track. Previous tracks, not so bad, but that's horrendous. I don't know exactly what. I don't know. My gut is saying a processing issue, because too many times when I've tried to forensically look at the section of track that it's doing it on, there's already a hint of something going on, and there's always some sub bass, and there's some 200 to 300 hertz in there in the mix as well. I don't know, but we do know they say AI Sound Boost minimizes distortion. So we know that it doesn't. We know it's broken. If that's what it's intended to do, it's broken. So, yeah, you're right. You got me. I surrender. It's really, really bad. But it's not so bad under 60%, as you could hear. 60% is where it really starts kicking in to the point of being a deal breaker on those tracks. But of course, deep bass, 75%, you're really, really pushing it. But you should be allowed to push it. That's how they're selling it. And it's not just starting to break up. I mean, it's the gurgling. It's horrible. So that's it. Yeah, it distorts. Doesn't distort all the time. TL appears to be anecdotally better than the PL. But why would you buy the boombox not to play it in deep bass mode and under 60%? Well, you wouldn't. Just that to this point has been my usage scenario. So I mean, as a boombox, look, it was still good. It's going to depend on the tracks. As I said, I went head to head, but I did it in default mode mostly on my original video, and it wasn't doing it on the tracks I was playing. And I have noticed something else as well. So I try and get balanced tracks that are strong throughout the frequency. All these tracks you're telling me are very much bass heavy. And I don't mean, it's got a boosted bass. I mean, the whole slant of the frequencies is down. So that's why you did actually hear there, when I was playing the clips, how it comes so much more shrieky and hard on the ears, 80, 100%. You could hear the whole nature changes, becomes really bad on the ears, and it doesn't do that at lower volumes. It needs fixing. It needs fixing. It shouldn't be that bad. So, I remember saying, I was saying, it wasn't doing my first video, and I was in default, and it was, for me, and it was more enjoyable in many ways. It was a different listen to the Wi-Fi. To me, the Wi-Fi is the hi-fi version. The Boombox 3, for me, I know a lot of you are saying you prefer it over this. To me, my version sounds a bit compressed. I'm hearing all the time people saying it's much clearer. Mine isn't. Mine isn't clearer. It just sounds a bit more compressed against this. But this has got way more power. But there is a cost to that power. Yeah, to me, I mean, before I got the Boombox 4 and I was doing the Flip 7, the Charge 6, I was always saying they seem to be not so much improving the hardware, but pushing the hardware beyond the limits they could before. It still seems the way now. They're just trying to, without actually getting better components. I've got no idea what they spent on this and what the components are. It just seems, and obviously it's different, the 2 drives instead of the three-way. So, in default mode, it's not bad. It's the more you push the bass. So what I'm saying, processing, but clearly in line with pushing that bass beyond limits. Maybe it is a combination of the two things. The bass is being pushed beyond really what it can handle in terms of bass, but also there's an issue with the processing, especially when there's already a hint of some distortion or it's not particularly clean, especially on vocals. It seems to trip it up. So maybe it's a combination of both. But separate, obviously the tweeters are separate. That high-end harshness, or it does absolutely Muller the ears. You might not know Muller. That's I think quite a British thing to say. It's wreaks havoc on your ears. It's horrible. So look, it's hard for me to say. Look, it's been horrendous. It hasn't been horrendous, but it's horrendous on tracks that you'll give. On that track was the first deal breaker for me if I was playing those tracks. So if that's the sort of music you're playing, those are the tracks, as I already said. They're mixed in a very particular way. Those aren't tracks that I use for my testing, so maybe there's an issue there. But I do that for a reason, because I'm trying to find issues right across the frequency spectrum. The tracks that last video and this video, you won't find the issues at the high end, because there's very little high end going on. It's all about the bass, no trouble. Right. I'll see you the next Boombox 4 Distortion Fest. Laughing. If JBL don't get me taken down in the meantime, because we think they may have had something to do with someone else going, but we won't talk about that because we don't really know. And I've just made my comeback. It's be too soon to be taken off the YouTube. By the way, I just got banned on Reddit for, on an automated thing. Accuse me of something I had not done. Unbelievable, but there you go. Never mind. I don't know why I pushed that in. Why push that in? You thought I was going to say... No, I'm going to say it. Right. Hope to see you again. Oh, by the way, we're up to 17. 17 self-declared, start to finish. You watch it. So maybe I'm going to make a 2-hour video. See how many we still got to get code at the end. But I've got to take your word for it that you are seeing the whole thing and the ads. And don't get the ads. See you again.
What the f*** was that?
It comes from China.
My speaker's got deep bass, balanced mids, and a bright high.
Yes, mine sounds exactly the same.